Hey, you busy? Mm-mm. Okay, let me run something past you real quick. You know what I realized about God's creation? We want so bad to be understood. We want so bad to belong. We want so bad to connect to others. To the point that some grandbabies are willing to put their health on the line to go ahead and get surgery to look like the majority of other people. Yeah, if the majority is okay with looking like the Kim Kardashian version point two whatever, because they continue to change, then everyone is going to run to Dr. Miami or whomever and try to go ahead and get that. If a certain style of clothes, of pants, of jeans, like whatever it is, I feel like we are gradually becoming a society that is so mindless that even if it's not our thing, we're going to force it to become our thing. Even if that's not how we want to dress, it's in style. Even if that's not the kind of job that we want, it pays the most. Even if that's not where we want to live, this is what people are aspiring to. And at some point, we have to slow down and ask ourselves honestly, how did God uniquely create me? Because the thing about it is, there are people walking around on this earth obtaining a social security number and sometimes the right to drive in these streets, and they don't know themselves. They have doctors that know their blood types, they have family member who know their birthdays, but they do not know themselves. And I'm talking intricately. Not what's your favorite color, not anything of the sort, but really truly know yourself. And we are a people that we need that. Why do you think people gravitate so much to zodiac signs? When's your birthday? I knew it, because you act like a. And we get so excited. Don't go ahead and be from the same hometown as somebody else who figured they liked you. I knew you were from New York because you was giving me you was giving super excited. Don't go ahead and like the same team as somebody else. Who's your friend? Don't play. And then you go ahead and you do your slogan. You know, it's so much. We love to belong, but sometimes at the demise of not knowing ourselves. So I took a page from the bishop that is Solomon. I started to see certain things in a wise eye, and I started to pray for things that I'm like, God, give me what I need now so that when I arrive, I'll have exactly what's needed for me to sustain what you assigned to me. So many times we are praying for the next level. We are praying for the next stage, whether it's tangible, whether it's financial, whether it's emotional, but yet we're not doing anything about that deficit that's currently in you. You sure you want to go ahead and not just date, be married, and you still don't know how to actually let someone in yet? Oh, you thought that love and marriage is just like on the job training kind of. I mean, in some aspect it is, but why do you want to be the rough draft to somebody possibly getting injured because you don't have no safety hazards in place? Yeah, you sure you want to go ahead and just, God, I want to be a parent when you haven't resolved the things that your parents did to you first? You don't want to go to counseling. You don't want to get some of those calluses up, because you can't just throw the whole childhood in the garbage. You gotta pull something that was like, you know what, from this I learned. We can't just be like, I'm just not going to do what she did to me. Time out. She had a different kind of set of variables than you, ma'am, sir. He had a whole different set of stressors that you don't currently have. But it will behoove you, because you share some of that DNA, to go ahead and dissect some of that so that you don't go ahead and pass some of that down to your descendants. You sure you want to go ahead and say you want more money being a supervisor when you don't like talking to people outside of a certain time frame, and you like to kind of like just, you don't follow your schedule as much. You're not real time oriented. You really don't want people just like in your face all the time. Do you understand you're going to have to do conflict resolution? But there's so much turmoil within you or within certain relationships that you have. And so if you don't know how to do conflict resolution in your personal life, you think you're going to just pucker up and do it in your professional one? I mean, all of this is, none of this is judgment. All of this is truly just asking questions to see and to kind of help you zoom out on your prayers and on yourself and say, am I praying for something I'm not ready for? Because we don't stop at, oh, I only pray for what I'm ready for. We don't do that. You pray, God, prepare me. One of my favorite songs says, Lord, prepare me. Come on, to be a sanctuary. Yes! Here and holy. Listen, because if I got to sing that, what you want me to be? Every time that song get me, I can't even. Google it, okay? Be a sanctuary. Whatever it is. It's a whole mass choir. It's a situation, and I love it. But you have to ask and elevate in your prayer life, simplifying it to, Lord, whatever it is that you made me to be, whatever it is that you purposed me for, whatever it is that you have destined for me, don't let me get there empty. Don't let me get to the cliff of the promised land like Moses and I just get to see it, but I don't get to experience it. That means I spent all this time in Egypt, all this time in Midian, all this time in the wilderness, all this time governing these people just not to compensate on that. Won't be me. You got to get to that point in your spiritual life where you like, yo, I'm getting compensated for the things that I went through. You think that I went through all of that in childhood, all of that within the family, all those brave measures I had to take at work. You think I did all that just to not even get the t-shirt, to get the picture of the t-shirt? All of y'all can have a nice day because I'm getting up in here. You understand? Won't be no angel bouncer talking about, let me see it. No. God sent me. I'm in here. That's how we working this out. And so for me, my prayers have gotten to that level. Like, here we are. She's here. And the thing about that is, when I said I was taking a page from Solomon, I was like, all right, what's one of the things that I feel like I need to work on? Now, I have a gift that God allows me to see. It's called the knowledge of wisdom. And I was going to say something else, God, because I'm trying to say it in the way that it's in the Bible. I know what my gift is. I'm trying to make sure I articulate it right. So it's the word of wisdom and the knowledge of something or another. Pretty much, I can see somebody's past, I can see somebody's future, and I can go ahead and give them information that God can only know. Most of the time when I'm giving a message to someone, they are looking at me in full-blown tears, and they're like, how did you know that? God, how else would I have known that? Literally just met you in aisle 4. Like it really is that serious, right? And so I give you that because for the bulk of my life, I have been dependent on my gift to know if someone is safe, to know if I should move forward with someone, to know, okay, so what's this person's purpose in my life, to know all of that. But to be honest with you, that's training. Because using your gift in any capacity feels like how the Bible said when the woman with the issue of blood for 12 years touched Jesus, and he was like, wait a minute, I felt virtue go from me. Yeah, when you're operating in your gift, it feels exactly like that. You like, oh, I could use a nap for the rest of the day. That's just how it works for me. And so I started to notice that I was retracting a little bit. I was being a little bit more homebody and kind of isolating a little bit, and not in a dark way, just on some like it was really taking me that long to refuel and recover. So I finally got to the place that I was like, God, if you are going to place me where you want me to not only take care of your sheep, but to feed your sheep the way you said to Peter, I need you to show me what I'm missing. And he was like, I need you to understand people better. Now let me explain something to you. That was as foreign as him saying, I need you to develop a desire to talk. Sir, I love it. However, I could see what he was talking about because I was like, oh, I know people. He was like, knowing people and knowing how to navigate and best utilize people are two different things. I said, oh. So literally, I kid you not, I can only, and I'm not that kind of grandbaby, I can only say it in this way. He sent a book my way that I was like, time out. Ain't no way in the world, sir. Because I had developed this need all of a sudden that I wanted to read a book a month that was going to better me. Like, I feel like when God is trying to get you where he wants you to go, he'll start giving you a palette for things that you never had. I ain't never want to read nobody's book. Why? You got the shade room. Like, you understand? That's where I was. And so I'm like, why would I, like, for one, I don't want to sit down and I don't want to cross my leg and I don't want to read through the pages. I have no desire to wet the tip of my finger and then kind of like turn it. Like, none of that makes me excited. But knowing how God is and how he knows you enough to be like, I didn't ask you to do that, Craig. I'm asking you to listen to a book. I said, you know what? I got Audible because, you know, that's which kind of grandbaby that I am. And so I was looking up after having this particular consistency reading a book. I was like, oh, See, that's the other thing. God is so dope that he will prompt you with something that you like, I don't, now usually I don't do this, but go ahead and break them off a little bit of remix. Like, and then all of a sudden you start to realize, wow, I actually enjoy this. And so what started out to be initiating or a suggestion started to be a habit and a way of living for me. So doing this for some time, I then came across one of the books I wanted to read, and I was listening to it, and I started to become so real with myself. Like, I'm not interested in doing anything just to finish it and say that I did it. I'm literally pursuing all things to feed me to where God is taking me. No, if it is leaving me hungry, if it's leaving me starved, if I can feel that there's no nutritional value for the plate that I know that God has for me, then it's not my plate. And so instead of me trying to force myself to eat through a meal that's not mine, I push it to the side. So that's exactly what I did with one particular book. I was like, oh, I heard the sample. I read through the whatever, the back of the book situation. It just did not speak to me. And I was like, oh, God, this is not it. And then I started feeling some kind of way. So I felt led. I was like, God, can you show me what book you want me to read this month? He was like, yep. I picked up this book, and it has been phenomenal, okay? I'm going to make sure that I don't butcher this grandbaby's name. Her name is Marita Latour. God bless America. The book of the title, the title of the book is called Wired That Way. Her first name is Marita, Marita. Her last name is between her and the Lord, Littauer. Look it up. Wired That Way. This book is probably going to be the most important book outside of your Bible. Because what I have realized, let me just give you what the titles are for the 10 chapters in this book. Foundation and background, visible clues, strengths and weaknesses, personality blends, emotional needs, marriage, parenting, communication, workplace, spiritual life. Pause. This woman, with the help of the Holy Spirit, apparently, is breaking down all the areas of life and showing you how not only to navigate it best through your personality, but how to work well with others who may have different personalities than your own. My Lord, today, why is this not in every counselor's office? Why is this not a part of every premarital counseling? Why is this not a part of everyone who has a pregnancy test and it's positive and you go to your first appointment? Why is this not at the doorstep of every pizza shop? Like, this needs to be everywhere, because I don't care where you go, there is always people. When we were born, we could not get away from them. Okay? It was like on site for the rest of your life. And most of us are having excruciating experiences because we did not know how to choose the other people on the other side, be it relationships, be it workplaces. We didn't know how to navigate ourselves. We didn't know how to, we had an overbearing parent and we didn't know how to maneuver through that, or we didn't know how to navigate towards certain friendships, and there's all these different things that, honestly, if you really dissect it, the common denominator is, if you knew how to navigate that personality, it would not have cost you that bruise. Yeah, I let that silence hit, because my Lord, is that true? Imagine knowing offhand, that personality to me comes off a little bit aggressive and it looks abusive to me. And so what I'm going to do to best protect both of us is I'm going to make sure that there is nothing that is in close proximity until I see that there's a handle on the way that you speak to people, on the way that you manage people, on the way that you, because your personality may look at that and get intimidated. Other personalities look at that like a challenge, and it's like, yo, you come for me, I'm coming for you. Okay, that's cute until both of y'all got scratches on your eyeball. Then what happened? Like, you can play the game if you want, but you need to know yourself enough to say, this is who I gel well with. This is who I don't gel well with. There's just certain things that literally would help so much. And these areas of life everyone falls into one of them. You ain't got to be married just to read this. You don't have to be a parent just to read. Everybody got to work, and everybody should have a spiritual life. It is so beautiful because this all stemmed from me taking a DISC assessment. DISC assessment. I took one because honestly, it was a part of one of my job conferences, and I thought it was weird that when I got my results, they printed out 50 pages, literally, no exaggeration. I was like, oh, okay. And then y'all said, bring this so we can talk about it at the conference. Cool. But it got my attention to the point that I was like, time out. I'm going to need to look a little further in this. So this is how I know that God sent me this book. This book was not only free, it was the way that I found it was weird. When I know it's God, I know it's God. It's no way I can possibly try to explain it. I know that I know. But here's the thing. God created us to be different. Here's the thing. You know how I know? Because this book even gave me further insight on why is there 4 different gospels. The DISC assessment that I was telling you about, the D is for those who have dominant behaviors. You would best look at those people like they are very decisive. They are very task oriented. They are very prone to be in leadership. Sometimes they have projecting voices or personalities that you like, ooh, you taking over the room kind of thing. And I know exactly who popped up in your head when I said that, but be nice, okay? Then you have the I, who is also extroverted like the dominant personality, but they're a little bit more people oriented. And so most of their things, they're the I is for influencing. And so they like to inspire people and they want to go team go and everything is, just trying to get everyone on the same accord, that kind of thing. And then you have the S, more of a steady and supportive grandbaby. This grandbaby is an introvert, but very much people oriented. They are cool, calm, and collected. They work well under pressure. They just are, I'm talking about everybody just wants to just keep them around because you bring calm to the storm every time. Shouts out to my husband, my Lord today. And then there's the C, who is the cautious or conscientious grandbaby, like myself. You're not really quick to make no real decisions. You're cautious of people. You are detailed oriented. You like a schedule, everything. You don't like your time to be wasted. Like we can get in the bag. You understand? What I learned about myself is I'm a blend. I'm a C, conscientious or cautious, and I'm also an I, influencer. Shouts out to my gifting. So I noticed that in my natural wiring, I'm more cautious. In my spiritual wiring kind of bout, I'm more of an influencer because I don't know how you can serve God's people and just be like, I don't want to be bothered. yeah. So God he's like, I got to add a little bit more pepper and a lot bit more salt. Yeah, he knows how to blend people together. So what this caused me to do, I said, I want everybody in my household to take one. So that I could understand the people that I live with, the people that I say I love. I have my friends. I'm like, will you ever take a DISC assessment? Yeah, what's your whatchamacallit is? The people at my job, since it was a part of my job conference, I'm like, what's yours? That makes sense. That's why I'm, okay, great. God bless you. You understand? And then what I did is I took this book after getting all of that knowledge just out of just pure curiosity. Shouts out to the C in me because the question that the C people always ask is why. Man, I've been asking that same question from childbirth. You know how much trouble that got me in? Sit down somewhere. Because I was very inquisitive. And little did I know, God created me that way. I was created to ask why. It is what it is. I need to know why and why until I can have an understanding of why we doing it, why we going that way. There has to be a knowing. And what God showed me was this information is so vital. It's literally made my life more peaceful. Because instead of feeling like somebody's bullying me, I just go, oh, they have a dominant personality. And so they have a natural need to want to lead and tell people what to do. And they don't mean no harm. Just like me wanting to know why, or me wanting to have a schedule, or me wanting to have a goal to work toward, they can't help it. So if I can't help it because I was wired that way, then they can't. This book even broke down, because it is Christian based, that the 4 different gospels speak to different personality types. And so for me, the conscientious, that is the one written by Matthew. That is the book that continues to show you, like, don't worry. Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. No, actually, that's Philippians. But the one that literally says, listen, seek ye first the kingdom of God. And is all his righteousness. And then all these things. And why are you worried about life? Can worrying add anything to your life? When you read Matthew 6, you like, bro, you really be trying to ease people and make them know it's going to be okay. God got you. And that's what my personality is. And so when I really started taking this deep dive, I was like, time out. So what's this thing about like irreconcilable differences? Rebuke that in the name of Jesus. And when I was looking up some of that information, I was like, see, now this is why I feel like this needs to be in every doctor's office ever. So according to mensrightdivorcelaw.com, the question was asked, what is the meaning of irreconcilable differences? And it says, technically, it's when an individual or their spouse cannot get along with one another enough to keep the marriage alive. Okay. Another definition from dictionary.com, it says, incapable of being brought into harmony or adjustment. Incompatible. Pause. See, that just doesn't make sense to me. Because God made all these different seasons. He made 4 seasons, and they're all incompatible with one another, but they all make room for each other. And I don't understand anything that sees you as peanut butter and me as jelly, and instead of seeing that we probably go well together, you just say maybe we should stay separate. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand that it's all these differences that we can see in the Bible from, like, I started looking up just weird stuff. Like, okay, how many hairs are on people's heads? Because, you read the scripture that says God knows every hair on the head and this, that, and the third. And I heard in one of my devotionals that anyone who has blonde hair has 140,000 hairs on their head. Anyone that is a brunette has 125,000 hairs on their head. And anyone who has red hair, 90,000. There are so many differences all throughout whatever, and yet God makes them all work together. In your body alone, your reproductive system is different from your respiratory system, is different from your nervous system, is different from you have so many systems in one body. What do you mean that you don't know how to go ahead and make things that are different compatible? There is a such thing as compatible differences. There is a such thing as you liking that and I don't, but we can sit at the same table and eat different meals but enjoy each other's company. There is a such thing as you being a night owl, me being somebody who likes to wake up early in the morning, and then we find a time slot in the afternoon to really enjoy each other. There is a such time, and when did people start seeing differences and saying, no, it's not going to work? And it started from the garden. Because as soon as Eve ate that fruit and shared it with her husband, they looked at one another, felt shame, and covered themselves. And from that point on, in Genesis 3, we have not learned how to make our differences compatible. We have not learned. We have been searching for people who think just like us. We have been searching with people who look and enjoy what we like. It's all these things that you are trying to find another you, and God is never trying to duplicate you. He's not doing no copy and pasting. He's trying to get you to go ahead and find someone else that literally have differences so that when y'all become one, y'all are whole together. Yet whatever you don't have, they have, and whatever they have, you don't have. That's called being compatible, even with differences. Oh, you're not detail-oriented enough. Yeah, but you are. So then let him go ahead and do the task-oriented things. You always want to talk to people, and you don't. So let him go ahead and finish talking. I don't want to do this overnight, but you're a night owl. So then let him go ahead and you see, if you really started making room for people, because it's not that you are not accepting of differences. It's just that you don't want to make the room for it. And it saddens me because I even saw this in the Bible. I said, yeah, this has been happening since the olden days. Literally would life look different if we would just make room for people who are different from us? Not different in that they became dangerous to our lives or that they put our safety at risk or anything else like that. Rebuke that in the name of Jesus. That's just a lack of wisdom if you kept overriding that, right? We agree on that? Okay, great. I'm talking about knowing that you may be different than me, but your differences, they complement me. That's when you get to a different level of maturity that you like, yeah, you can be your own big circle and I can be my own big circle, but we need to overlap, and that middle circle needs to have our core values. We don't need to have our core differences in there. Yeah, like we both can't have two different religions. We both can, because two different religions, since you want to ask me, I saw your face, means that we're operating from two different operating systems, two different guidelines, two different. And while it is not impossible, that is not the Zoe life that God intended. I want Zoe. I want life the way that God intended. If we're going to live in this broken world, I don't want to do nothing that makes it even more difficult. He said, don't be with nobody that's even unevenly yoked. Guess what? She tried it. He's right. I don't need to find out. He said the stove is hot. Guess what? It's hot. And I'm going to lift up my sleeve and show you. Please listen to him. Okay, great. So I want Zoe. And if he's saying, I need you to understand people enough that you have the Zoe life, then guess what, sir? I'm reading and I'm sharing. But I wanted to zoom in on a biblical reference, though. When I read this about David and his first wife, I was like, ooh, she fumbled the bag. Yeah, 2 Samuel 6. It illustrates, because at that time, their way of being in God's presence was having the ark of the Lord, right? And they had, giving you a little bit of backdrop. They were trying to move the ark of the Lord to Jerusalem, and it didn't quite really go so well. And so David was having a little bit of an issue getting it there. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick up. Let's go ahead and read 6. But when they arrived at the threshing floor of Nacon, the oxen stumbled, and Uzzah reached out his hand and steadied the ark of God. 7. Then the Lord's anger was aroused against Uzzah, and God struck him dead because of this. So Uzzah died right there beside the ark of God. Pause. Now, God is not playing with him. He said, this is holy, don't touch it. And I don't even care in your reflex. If you would try to do something helpful, you stepped out in disobedience, sir. Yeah. Okay, so 8. David was angry because the Lord's anger had burst out against Uzzah. He named that place Presbar Uzzah, which means to burst out against Uzzah, as it is still called today. 9. David was now afraid of the Lord, and he asked, how can I ever bring the ark of the Lord back into my care? 10. So David decided not to move the ark of the Lord into the city of David. Instead, he took it to the house of Obed-Edom of Gath. 11. The ark of the Lord remained there in Obed-Edom's house for 3 months, and the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and his entire household. Pause. He's like, sir, y'all didn't touch it at all? That's ridiculous. 12. Then King David was told, the Lord has blessed Obed-Edom's household and everything he has because of the ark of God. So David went up there, rightfully so, and brought the ark of God from the house of Obed-Edom to the city of David with a great celebration. 13. After the men who were carrying the ark of the Lord had gone 6 steps, David sacrificed a bull and fattened cow. Exactly. Pause. He was like, listen, this is progress. Woo, let's go ahead and let's just celebrate this. 14. And David danced before the Lord with all his might, wearing a priestly garment. 15. So David and all the people of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouts of joy and the blowing of ram's horns. 16. But as the ark of the Lord entered the city of David, Micah, pause, the Bible verse that I read says her name as Michael. I'm not finna call this grandbaby Michael. We're going to call her Mimi, okay? Okay. But as the ark of the Lord entered the city of David, Mimi, the daughter of Saul, looked down from her window. When she saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, she was filled with content for him. 17. They brought the ark of the Lord and set it in its place inside the special tent David had prepared for it. And David sacrificed burnt offerings and peace offerings to the Lord. 18. When he had finished his sacrifices, David blessed the people in the name of the Lord of heaven's armies. 19. Then he gave to every Israelite man and woman in the crowd a loaf of bread, a cake of dates, and a cake of raisins. Then all the people returned to their homes. Pause. At this point, we already know David's on cloud 9. Bruh, he done went without, first of all, he went without the ark of the Lord for 3 months. Involuntarily, he had to leave it. He was like, I don't know what to do. Because when Uzzah tried to go ahead and adjust it, just because the ox wasn't steady in it, and the ox was getting ready to lose it. So Uzzah was like, oh, let me help real quick. Like, Uzzah died right there. So clearly, if the ox do it again, somebody else finna go to sleep permanently. I'm not interested. So I'll just bring it to Obed-Edom's and I'll try to figure it out. And then when you figure like, oh, they getting blessed over there because of my Lord? Let me go get that real quick. And so he's like, okay, we getting closer to the goal. We getting closer to the goal. Super excited, dancing, giving out cakes. David is on cloud 9. Why? Because he finally got the ark of the Lord back. And then guess what? Somebody with a different personality and a different perspective went ahead and had something to add to the chat. 20. When David returned home to bless his own family, Mimi, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet him. She said in disgust, how distinguished the king of Israel looked today, shamelessly exposing himself to the servant girls like any vulgar person might do. Ooh, pause. Excuse me, Mimi. You didn't even let that man unwind. Let him take his shower first. You was like on site because I'm disgusted. Okay, I understand that. But now listen here. Most people are responding from their experiences. You got to understand the reason why the Bible keep telling you, listen, Mimi is the daughter of Saul is because Mimi understands the practices and the etiquette of all things palace, right? You talking about David, whose background is what? Shepherd, huh? He was out there in that animal dung, huh? He was smelling like, oh, you may want to take that shower for Sam. You come back in here and anoint you, sir. You know what I'm saying? So 2 different backgrounds, 2 different sets of experiences, 2 different ways of showing excitement. David is just all out there dancing out, doing whatever is just, things are being done. Going back to the birthday suit. She, however, is in a secured place, just observing, keeping herself postured and poised. And she's like, this is not how it's done. So she didn't point out, congratulations for the ark. She didn't point out, man, I know it took some bravery. Were you scared? She pointed out, you let them other girls see what I have, and I don't like that. And that's disgusting to me. And so instead of being like, listen, next time you want to dance, can you wear some underwears? She was like, and I quote, how distinguished the king of Israel looked today, shamelessly exposing to the servant girls like any vulgar person might do. Pause. Ma'am, you just said all kind of vulgar and you said some curses. That right, the way that you just did that, I don't care if you was monotone or not, you disrespected him. Because how did I know? Because look at David's response in the very next verse. 21. David retorted to Mimi, I was dancing before the Lord who chose me above your father and all his family. He appointed me as the leader of Israel, the people of the Lord. So I celebrate before the Lord. 22. Yes. And I am willing to look even more foolish than this, even to be humiliated in my own eyes. But those servant girls you mentioned will indeed think I am distinguished. 23. So Mimi, the daughter of Saul, remained childless throughout her entire life. Pause. Bruh. I'm talking about Yeah, I had to. I did. Because at this point, y'all talking about a 1-2 text exchange, and it literally altered the rest of her life. You do realize that David was promised that, listen, the king, the Messiah, it's going to be kings on kings on kings out of your bloodline, sir. Mimi, you forfeited being a part of the king lineage, being a part of Jesus' lineage, because you didn't agree with the way that he decided to show his excitement for having the Lord, the ark of the Lord, back into the town, back into his presence. You did not agree with the way in which he did something, but you didn't even ask him. I never seen you dance like that. Was there a reason why you did like this before? Or you could have spoke your truth. You could have said, honestly, I'm extremely happy for you. Compliment sandwich. I'm extremely happy for you. I wish them girls didn't see your kibbles and bits. But like, I know that you finally feel at rest after 3 months, right? You see the compliment sandwich? Because you always want to speak your truth. But you can't speak your truth to the point that it just overrides and overcasts everything that is. Ma'am, he wasn't out there twerking because he was trying to win Mardi Gras beads, like, which he was dancing like that because his heart, like, if you knew anything about, and she didn't know this, but like looking at his Psalms, David was truly just heartfelt, and he was really expressive, and he was sensitive. That's how I know offhand this man had got to be some type of eye. He was the influencer. Yeah, he was the one that was like, he had a heart for people. He was an extrovert. So he was definitely the I. Mimi, on the other hand, was a C. She had the mindset that there was a right way to do something. There's a wrong way not to do something. And you should know. And she's not people oriented. She was task oriented. So, you over there showing yourself like a vulgar person. And so she didn't even try to understand. He's dancing from his heart. She was standing in the place of, but you exposed yourself. And both things can be true. But how do we merge these differences to be compatible? And she never gave him a chance to explain or to even get a better understanding. Is this going to be your regular practice? Because I'm finna sew together some fig leaves for you. Like, I'm getting ready to put some animal skin together. We're going to do something. But what you won't be doing, it's having people look at you. Now, it was almost like it was so selfish that she felt more embarrassment than he did. And it could be because she was a little bit more introverted. You don't hear nothing else about her. We hear about her twice. One, when David was going to go fight Goliath, and he was like, what do they win? And they was like, oh, your family won't pay taxes, and then you can go ahead and have Saul's daughter as your wife. We don't know anything else about her. So clearly she's a behind the scenes kind of girl. I don't really want a lot of people in my business. I'm not really going to be on social media like that. Cool, we understand. Meanwhile, David is doing all the dancing. He got a video uploading 3 times a day because that's just his page is popping. It is what it is. But it was more embarrassing for her to be a part of someone who was so exposed. And that was the issue, because he wasn't embarrassed by his exposure. Why not have the conversation of, can you conceal what should be maritally just between you and I? I'm cool with you being expressive. I'm not cool with you being exposed. That's a different conversation, right? To give what the need is, to get to the end of the conclusion instead of giving the complaint in a very negative way. Her complaint was, oh, you let them girls see you out there twerking and you doing whatever. But what she was really saying was, I don't want nobody seeing my husband's kibbles and bits. No, sir. We supposed to be doing that in the tent. If we don't want to be in this palace today, but like, not everybody know what you're twerking with. I don't like that. It's kind of embarrassing for me a little bit. I know you, listen, I already know you free because you washing wherever. I get it. But I don't want nobody. That's a different heart. And that's the art of learning communication, to allowing enough space so that any differences are compatible. You can tell anybody what you need. The real question is, are they willing to create space for your need? You can tell people, hey, listen, when you talk to me about certain things, can you just do it at this hour? Because I'm not receptive at this hour. You always give what I lovingly call a love request. And if the person on the other end of that request values you enough, they then have to do the work or the adjustment of, okay, how can I make room for this request? It's simply like putting in an order anywhere else in life. Let's say you got a grocery pickup order and you say, okay, I need this, this, this. So you went through your list and the person on the receiving end is like, oh, we ran out of this. Would you like to try this brand? It's like if a grocery app is willing to adjust to complete your need, why don't humans do that? Why don't marriages do that? Why don't parents do that? No, you're going to school to be this. Did you ever once just take a little bit and go, I don't think that really accentuates your like strengths and your natural wiring and abilities? When we take the time to really just learn ourselves and the people around us, we will make better life decisions, thus not fumbling the bag the way Mimi did. This last sentence says, 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 23. So Mimi, the daughter of Saul, remained childless throughout her entire life. Guess what? That's the last time we hear about Mimi. Because in that day, you were able to show your value by how many children you had for your husband. Did you add to the lineage? No. See, her comment was poised, but what it actually was for David, it was prison. Yeah, anyone who tries to chomp down on your square footage of life, some people are smart enough to be like, and I don't want to do life with you. Now, if this was a different way, or if this was said in it, because honestly, it's really sad. She literally said one sentence. Everything that she said fit on one sentence. Her sentence was, how distinguished the king of Israel looked today, shamelessly exposing himself to the servant girls like any vulgar person might do. So clearly she wasn't good at communicating. 2, she let it boil up too much. She should have just gave herself a breather. And 3, she didn't understand him. Now, everything that was retorted after, David was more expressive than her. He told her why he was dancing. He told her, like, it was like, but at the end of that, I think that he was clear, like, you know what? Anyone who can't see my heart and is too hard on my differences, I can't do life that way. Because she'll be looking, and it will be something else. If she was willing, had a teachable heart, maybe she one of the reasons why he had that little itch for Bathsheba. We don't know. You know, it could be a lot of things. But my challenge to you is to learn yourself, learn the people around you, so that this life that we live in can really reflect Zoe, the life the way that God intended. And look up this book, please. Wired That Way. Soon as you Google it, you're going to see 4 colors. It's a white background, but it's 4 like little block things. So it's yellow, red, green, and blue. Her name is Marita, Marita, Littauer, Littauer. This thing is phenomenal. It should literally be your second go-to after the Bible. And that's that on that. You understand? I want us all to truly have the life where we're not avoiding people, where we're not holding in frustrations, where we're not fumbling our investments, because people are investments. They are pouring into you. They are being the shovel that God is using to get some things out of you. They are the sandpaper that God is using to get some things off of you. People are investments. And if you don't know how to properly spread out your portfolio, you will become bankrupt in the spiritual realm. And I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. I want us to be rich and I want us to be abundant. I want us to prosper in health and prosper in everything else, but I want us to prosper as our soul prospers, the way that it says in the Bible. I truly want us to have different lives, but we cannot have different outcomes if we don't change our perspectives. You have to do something different to receive what you've always been asking for. Sometimes it's not that you're not praying. Most times it's you're not preparing. Read this book. Do it for your family. Do it for your children. Do it for your relationships. Do it for your career. Do it for your entrepreneur lane. You'll know who to hire. You'll know the help. When God sends it, you'll be able to go, okay, so from the information that I know and what I'm discerning, now you can make wise choices on who you want to pair with in any part of life. But truly and truly, learn it. Because my people perish from a lack of knowledge, and not my people. I rebuke that, not us. But that's what the Bible says. For people perish because of a lack of knowledge. And I won't stand by that. Not on my watch. Didn't the deaconess say that? She said, not on my watch. Listen, I feel like you got what you needed, okay? You know what these conversations are. They're life-provoking conversations that not the average person is going to have with you, but who? Your favorite homegirl. But listen, I want you to know why you were wired that way. I want you to stop mustering up what you can't muster up. I want you to stop working towards things that are just outside of your wiring. I want us to be free. I want us to be good. I want us to be abundant. So I'm going to go ahead and let you let me go. We talk later, okay? All right. Later.